If you're older than 50, stop scrolling for just a second, because what I'm about to share could completely transform the rest of your life and possibly even save you from making the biggest financial mistakes of your next decade. And before you think, it's too late for me, let me hit you with a truth that Warren Buffett, one of the richest, wisest men alive, lives by every single day. Ready? Most people dramatically underestimate how much freedom, security, and pure joy they can create for themselves in their 50s, 60s, and beyond simply by getting a few key decisions right. And I'm here to show you exactly how to do that, step by step, no matter where you're starting from. Hey, if you're new here, I'm your buddy investor. I've spent the last 20 years helping everyday people just like you escape the grind, reach real financial freedom, and live life on their terms. I don't care if you feel behind, overwhelmed, or just tired of all the financial noise out there. This channel is your safe space for simple, practical investing that actually works. So, if you want to stay ahead of the curve and learn from the best in the game, make sure you hit subscribe right now, because together we're building a future you'll be proud of. Alright, let's get right into it. Why is this topic so important, especially if you're over 50? Because here's the harsh reality: you get one shot at this. One body, one mind, and whether you're 50, 60, or even older, you're sitting on a lifetime of hard-earned wisdom, resources, and experience. But if you don't take the right actions now, all of that can slip away, just when you should be enjoying the fruits of your labor. I've seen too many good people, hardworking, smart people, lose what they've built because they fell for one of a handful of common traps. And let's be real, the world isn't getting any less complicated. The news screams crisis every other day. Scammers are getting smarter, and even the so-called experts get it wrong more often than you'd think. But here's the good news. The solution is actually a lot simpler and safer than most people realize. I'm going to give you the blueprint that Warren Buffett himself uses. We'll talk investments, health, purpose, relationships, and even how to bulletproof your family's future, all in plain English with zero hype. Let's start with the elephant in the room, your money. I know some of you are thinking, I'm behind, what can I possibly do now? Or maybe you're doing okay but worried about losing it. Here's what Buffett says, and I agree. Keep it simple. Don't get fancy. If you've got savings, your job isn't to double it overnight. Your real job now is to protect what you've built, make it last, and avoid the deadly mistakes that wipe out decades of hard work. So, let me share the first rule: get your financial house in order. This is your base. Buffett tells people, especially those past 50, 60, and 70, to stop chasing after the next big thing, and instead get brutally realistic about three things: what you have, what you need, and how to keep it safe. And this is where so many people go wrong. I've seen folks who spent their whole lives building up a nice nest egg, only to lose a big chunk of it because they wanted a little more excitement, a little more yield, or they got seduced by a smooth-talking salesperson promising 12% returns when the safest investments are paying 2 or 3. If someone promises you high returns with no risk, run, don't walk. The other way. That's the financial equivalent of jumping into shark-infested waters with a raw steak strapped to your leg. Let me get ultra specific here. Buffett has said it, and I'll echo it. If you have, say, $1 million, put 90% into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. The other 10%? Short-term government bonds. That's it. No magic. No guessing which stock will be the next Apple. Just steady, diversified exposure to the biggest, best companies in America, plus a little cushion for emergencies. And you know what? 10 years ago, Buffett actually bet $1 million that a simple S&P 500 index fund would beat the top hedge funds run by the smartest minds on Wall Street over a decade. Guess what happened? The index fund crushed them. Not even close. So if those Harvard MBAs with their fancy algorithms can't reliably beat the market, what makes you think your cousin, your neighbor, or that stock tip email can? Don't play that game. Buy the index, hold it, and sleep easy at night. Now, maybe you're thinking, but what about income? If you want income, look at dividend-paying index funds or even some highly rated dividend ETFs. Just make sure you aren't chasing after high yields without understanding the risk. There are funds out there, like the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Fund or Schwab's Dividend Equity ETF, that have a solid history of both growth and payouts. And you don't need to be a stock market genius to use them. Alright, let's zoom out for a second, because money is just part of the picture. If you want to thrive in your 50s and beyond, you've got to think holistically, body, mind, and spirit. Buffett jokes that he's not about to change his diet at 94 just to squeeze out one more year, but here's the real lesson. Take care of your health now, while you still can. Get your checkups. Take your meds if you need them. Move your body in a way that feels good. You don't need to run marathons, but you do need to stay in motion. I mean, if Warren can be tap dancing into the office in his 90s, we can at least aim for a brisk walk, right? And don't overlook your mind. This is your most valuable asset. Buffett still reads 5 hours a day. Books, annual reports, magazines. Because learning doesn't stop at 50 or 60 or ever. The world keeps changing, and the moment you stop being curious, you start shrinking. Take a class, learn a new skill, read outside your comfort zone. Even something as simple as picking up a smartphone for the first time can open up a whole new world. Let me share a quick story that always inspires me. Buffett's lifelong business partner, Charlie Munger, worked well into his 90s. And he wasn't just showing up, he was still making multi-billion-dollar decisions, learning, debating, growing. When asked about his secret, he said, "The best armor you can have is a lifetime of learning." Imagine if you approached your next decade with that kind of attitude. Now, let's get personal for a second. Maybe you're looking at your kids, your grandkids, or even your parents and wondering, how do I make sure my family's okay when I'm gone? This is where planning gets critical. I can't tell you how many families are torn apart, not by the lack of money, but by confusion, arguments, and hurt feelings after a loved one passes. So here's what you need to do. Make a will. Have the tough conversations. Let your spouse or kids know where the accounts are, who the lawyer is, what you want and what you don't. Don't wait until it's too late. And let's talk about giving. Buffett and his friends have pledged to give away 99% of their wealth. And while most of us aren't billionaires, the lesson applies. There's no greater satisfaction than making a difference while you're still here to see it. Give to your local community, your church, your favorite charity. Even small acts of generosity can have an outsized impact. And if you do it now, not only do you get to witness the joy it brings, but you may even get some tax breaks too. Let's address something that most people don't want to think about, the reality of getting older. The truth is, you need a support system, good friends, trusted advisors, a doctor who knows your story, a lawyer who has your back, an accountant who helps you stay on track. And you don't wait until a crisis hits to build those relationships. You start now. Maybe you're worried about becoming irrelevant or losing touch with the fast pace of the world. Let me tell you, experience and wisdom don't go out of style. The fundamentals of life, business, and investing, integrity, patience, curiosity, matter as much today as they did 50 years ago. Technology will keep changing, but human nature doesn't. You might be surprised to hear this, but one of the most important things you can do after 50 is to stay engaged. Don't retire from life. Too many people retire, sit back, and start fading away. They stop learning, stop contributing, stop connecting. Don't be that person. Whether it's part-time work, volunteering, mentoring, or starting a small business, find something that gives you purpose and structure. I know someone who retired at 62, got bored, and ended up teaching community college classes for fun, and it gave his days meaning he never expected. Here's a little book recommendation, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It's not just about investing, but about how our beliefs and habits shape our outcomes. Another one to pick up, The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Both are easy reads, but they'll change the way you see your money and your future. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest risks facing folks over 50, scams and bad advice. Scammers are getting smarter, and they prey on people who are looking for a little extra yield or security. If anyone contacts you out of the blue, by phone, email, whatever, about your money or your investments, don't engage. Hang up. If they say they're from your bank or the IRS, call the number you find on their official website, not the one they give you. And when it comes to financial advisors, find someone fee-only, not someone who gets paid to push products. Alright, quick check-in. Are you still with me? Because this is the part most people skip, but it's the secret to real, lasting happiness as you get older: relationships. Time is more valuable than money. Your family doesn't need a massive inheritance. They need you. Your presence. Your attention. The stories, the memories, the laughter. Let go of old grudges. Make peace. Pick up the phone, send that letter, say what you need to say. Buffett says the reason he and Charlie Munger have never had an argument in 60 years is because they know the value of trust, respect, and open communication. Imagine if we brought more of that into our families. One more thing people don't always consider: where you live. There's nothing wrong with moving to a new state or a retirement community if it genuinely improves your life, but don't assume a change of scenery will fix everything. Sometimes the best happiness comes from being rooted, staying close to friends and familiar faces. Buffett's lived in the same Omaha house for over 60 years, not because he can't afford more, but because it keeps him connected to the community he loves. And if you do move, do your homework. Visit a few times, talk to real residents, not just the sales staff. The same goes for big life decisions. Don't rush, don't let anyone pressure you, and always trust your instincts. Now, let's circle back to something that doesn't get talked about enough: optimism. It's easy, especially as we get older, to see the world as going downhill. But by almost every measure that matters, life is better today than it's ever been. We're living longer, healthier, more prosperous lives. Technology is solving problems faster than ever. Don't let the negative news cycle bring you down. Think about this. If you're over 50 today, you've lived through some of the most incredible progress in human history. You're playing with house money. That should give you a sense of freedom, a perspective that lets you focus on what really matters. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. Let's call him Joe. Joe spent most of his 50s worried he'd never have enough to retire. He was glued to the financial news, jumping in and out of investments, losing sleep over every headline. But when he finally stopped chasing the next big thing, simplified his strategy, and started focusing on spending time with his grandkids, volunteering, and taking care of himself, he realized he already had more than enough. Today, Joe says the best thing he ever did was stop trying to outsmart the market and start living his life. So, let's recap the most important actions for anyone over 50. First, keep your investments simple and safe. Don't try to get fancy. Stick with broad index funds, a cushion of bonds, and maybe a small dose of reliable dividend payers. Don't fall for hot tips or anyone promising the moon. Second, prioritize your health. Body, mind, and spirit. Move every day. Keep learning. Stay connected. Third, plan ahead for your family. Get your will in place, talk about your wishes, and make sure everyone knows where things stand. Fourth, build and lean on your support system. Friends, advisors, doctors. Don't go it alone. Fifth, give back and be generous. Not just with your money, but with your time, your wisdom, your kindness. That's how you leave a legacy. Sixth, stay engaged and curious. Find purpose in every stage of life. Never stop growing. And finally, choose optimism. The best years of your life might still be ahead of you. If you found value in this, please hit subscribe and join our community. We're on this journey together, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. In fact, in our next video, I'm going to reveal the story of how just one man could trigger the next big market crash, and what you can do to protect yourself before it happens. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Click over and let's keep building your financial future, one smart step at a time.